The funding for this video is provided by the amazing members of our Patreon. Also contributions from viewers like you. Thank you. Yeah, I started from PBS Kids. What you gonna do? Fight me? Anyway, roll the video. So Panty and Stalking is a series that while I do enjoy it for a lot of things other than its fucking story, that includes the art style, the aesthetic, the music, and many of the characters, it is a series that I cannot ethically recommend because there's just too much in it that's just gross to me, but also there is a lot of anti-blackness within it just as well. That being said, when there's like a discourse surrounding Panty and Stalking, there are so many of these takes that make my head go. One thing I have noticed since I have watched this series when I was in middle school, and realizing that part of the reason why I watched that series so young is because it was a trauma response to everything that I was dealing with at that time period. I have been seeing this ongoing debate on which sister is the best. People are like, Panty is the best or Stalking is the best, and more so often I see that so many people like Stalking better. When I go to conventions, I am more likely to see a solo Stalking cosplay than I am to see a solo Panty cosplay. Now, of course, it is not my place to sit here and tell people which sister that they should like more or less, because who am I to tell anybody which fictional characters that they can enjoy? But there is like this big ass hint of misogyny when it comes to the discussion surrounding why people prefer Stalking over Panty, and it has to do with her sexuality. People tend to think because Stalking isn't as hypersexual as her sister that she is like the superior anarchy sister, and no. If y'all missed the entire point about Panty and Stalking being a series about two awful ass sisters, then that's on you because it's so blatantly in your face. Panty nor Stalking are better than one another. Panty and Stalking are both on the same coin, just two different sides of it. But one thing a lot of people don't seem to understand is that when it comes to the subject of sins, each sister represents different things. Also, another thing a lot of people don't seem to catch on is that while both sisters are violent, they are both violent in different ways. Like their weapons. Stalking uses a katana, Panty uses a gun. Like, both are dangerous. Are y'all not use your noggin, please? Like, Panty represents lust, but Stalking represents gluttony. But I feel like because so many people tend to think that Stalking behaviors aren't as bad as Panty's, that's part of the reason why they enjoy her so much. But also, it's just like the weird culture that surrounds characters like Stalking, which I won't go into detail about why so many people like her so much. But when it comes to so much of the discussion that surrounds Panty, so much of it has to do with slut shaming. And this Panty and Stalking debate is one that I am going to talk more about on my blog. But it really was reminding me of this thing that has been annoying me for years. And that is the Daphne versus Velma debate. So what exactly is this Daphne versus Velma debate? The first time I could say it ever really annoyed me, it was when I had made like a post, like a Daphne appreciation post, and some dude commented on it saying Velma was better. And I was like, bitch, did I ask you? Did I? But I have noticed for years that so many people tend to misunderstand Daphne Blake's character, and so much of her character has to do with the fact that people associate her with being stupid. Like, there's so many underlying reasons as why there is so much of this stupidity debate that surrounds Daphne. And it kind of frustrates me because it makes me realize that a lot of y'all just misunderstand her character. In my opinion, I've never ever really been like the biggest Velma fan. She's always just kind of been there to me. When I was little, when I watched Scooby-Doo, my favorite character was always Daphne because she was a girl that was very into makeup and hair and beauty and fashion. I think part of the reason why I liked Daphne more was because I liked her outfit more than Velma's, because I thought Velma's outfit was boring, but also on top of the fact that she can in fact whoop your ass. Velma, on the other hand, I just kind of found her a little boring. She was just like, oh, the quirky nerdy girl well, the brains of the group. And I think that's where so much of this misconception comes from when it comes to Scooby-Doo, that Velma is seen as the smart one out of everyone. And no, I feel like all four of the people are smart in different ways. They have different strengths and whatnot. And just because Daphne is very informed on the subjects of beauty doesn't necessarily mean that she is less than Velma when it comes to intelligence. I feel like so many people have this notion where they associate beauty with ignorance, and that's something that's always just kind of bothered me, in my opinion, because I talked about this a bit in my video where I talked about the subject of Naomi Campbell's Swan, but I strictly was going off about the fact that so many people tend to think that if a woman is pretty that she is automatically stupid, and that is absolutely not the case. I remember back in high school, my teachers would be talking about how we need to not put so much work into the way we look, and we need to put that work into our schoolwork. And I was like, ma'am, we can do both. But it's just so fucking annoying because I constantly see so many women online feel the need to go out of their way to prove that they are not a complete idiot because they are in love with fashion and all of that shit. I remember it's this one person that I follow, somebody had called her like a ditzy white girl, and part of that has to do with the fact that she likes to dance and sing and dance around and dress in like Y2K clothing. What about those factors of her make her stupid? Please explain to me, how is she ditzy? Because I literally looked at her stuff and she doesn't seem ditzy, whatever. She seems pretty alright. I feel like when it comes to Daphne's character, she is kind of stereotyped as that way, to be seen as like the pretty one of the group, and that is just what a lot of people limit her to. I know a lot of people were going off about Daphne's characterization in the 2 theatrical Scooby-Doo movies. I'm specifically gonna talk more about the first one because I love that shit. I literally have it on fucking DVD. But a lot of people were talking about how this version of Daphne, she kept trying to go out of her way to prove that she wasn't weak and helpless and stupid and ignorant. And have y'all not seen any of the Scooby-Doo projects that have come out before that movie, or do y'all just not know that some of these projects came out before then? Because a lot of people don't seem to get that Scooby-Doo's in the cyber chase, but especially Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. She literally was on TV getting her fucking Oprah Winfrey on. I think that if Daphne wasn't smart, she would not have had that job. She had stage presence. She was very much articulate. I don't seem to quite understand why people always kind of want to play Daphne, because she's not. While yes, she can be a little clueless at times, and yes, she can be a bit naive, she's not stupid like people act like she is. And usually when there are scenes where her and Velma are interacting and whatnot, she seems to have a good understanding of what Velma is speaking about. I don't know. I feel like because of the way people tend to treat Daphne Blake's character throughout the years, when it's just blatantly in y'all face that she isn't stupid, but I feel like because she is standing right next to Velma, who is somebody that is like exceptionally smart, literally took all the AP classes, she literally was valedictorian at her school. Velma is the kind of person that is, you know how Elon Musk thinks he's smart? That's the kind of smart that Velma is. She actually is that smart as he thinks he is. I hate the fact that that's the comparison that I use for that, but I feel like when people tend to like measure intelligence, they tend to think that anybody that isn't on that level of smart isn't. And that's absolutely not true. Like, while she may not have the same tactics as Velma does when it comes to solving the mysteries, she still has her own way of doing so, and that doesn't make her not bright. Like, how many different examples am I gonna have to give to you guys about this? Because I kid you not, if Daphne wasn't smart, she would not be a part of like the Mystery Inc. But I feel like because Daphne has always had this privilege with her, and I say that has to do with like pretty privilege, but we can pick up on the fact that she comes from like a wealthy family. And I know with Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc., we do see that she comes from a wealthy family and that iteration of it. But there's just so much that surrounds the fact that Daphne is pretty rich. I remember in Scooby-Doo, the live action theatrical version, if you look at her wardrobe, a lot of that shit was designer. She is somebody that loves to flaunt fashion. I don't know. It's just kind of annoying to me where I feel like it has to be blatantly in your face a lot for a character to seem smart or super duper intelligent. Somebody does not have to be super duper nerdy and quirky in order to be a smart character. Because I remember, because a lot of people were talking about when it comes to like nerdy characters, they try to make it seem like everyone around them is like unintelligent, and I think Nez Declassified was a big example of this. But I noticed when it comes to like Cookie and Mose's character, Mose was smart, but she was like a different kind of smart than Cookie was. That doesn't necessarily mean she isn't intelligent, and just because Daphne has a different way of solving mysteries than Velma doesn't mean that she's better or worse than solving mysteries than her. I don't know, for the most part, like Velma's character has just been one that's just kind of been there for me, but I noticed that I ended up growing like this big dislike for her character throughout like the years, because I was just so sick of people having this fat ass comparison to her and Daphne. I'm like, they're two different people. It's okay to accept that. And mind you, neither Daphne or Velma are perfect. They both have their own set of flaws. They're human, just like the rest of us. It's one thing that tends to get on my freaking nerves is that when it comes to fictional characters, people tend to be like, oh, if this character does any little thing here or there, they're wrong, they're automatically annoying and they suck. And baby, they're humans. A lot of the fictional characters that we see out in public, they are based on real life people that we all know. Let me sit here and tell you, everybody that you know, do all of them know about the same freaking things? No. While Velma might know about the history of, you know, the wars and all that shit that happened in America and is very educated on the subject of science, that doesn't mean that Daphne ain't smart either, because Daphne is very much educated on the subjects of fashion and cosmetology, smart in different ways. I don't know, this video kind of feels like, why are y'all pitting two bad bitches against each other? But I feel like I can't even say that, because one of these people I just been so on, because I just hate the fact that anytime it comes around to people wanting to uplift Velma, they just downplay Daphne. But also at the same time, these people aren't real. I have a little bit more to elaborate on that. One thing that just kind of frustrates me a lot, because while these people are not real and they do not exist, a lot of people tend to take how they feel about people they know in real life out on fictional characters. And I get that. I completely understand that, because I, for one, I can't stand people like Lila. I used to hate people that I went to school with her, and that's part of the reason why I have so much dislike for her right there. And I think that's another reason why I just kind of never really cared too much for Velma, because super duper smart people be trying to downplay your ignorance. And mind you, I never necessarily felt in any of the iterations of Scooby-Doo, mind you, it's been a minute since I've seen a lot of them, I never ever felt like Velma questioned Daphne's intelligence all that much. Like here and there, I felt like she was a little confused when it comes to Daphne and her way of doing things, but I don't personally think that Velma necessarily thought Daphne was an idiot. Overall, I'm just really kind of just sick of this notion that people just want to equate your intelligence to something else. And I'm gonna be honest, I think this has a lot to do with the subject of celebrity culture, because somebody has said something about how a lot of celebrities are like not smart people, which is true. But I feel like a lot of people tend to use that notion because a lot of celebrities are air quote good looking people by society's beauty standards. And that's just something that frustrates me oh so much, because I feel like it's just a big contribution to people thinking that if somebody takes care into the way they look and how they present themselves, and I'm not even saying like, you know, basic Eurocentric beauty standard bullshit, we're not talking about that, but I'm talking about people that enjoy having their hair done, they like having their nails done all the time and this and that and the third, that they're not necessarily smart. It's just something to think about, because Bridget Mendler, in my opinion, is somebody that I think is a really pretty woman. She has her degree, I'm pretty sure. There's a lot of celebrities out here that have gone to college, but we don't know that because it's something that's not like plastered in our face. I get that thing where we talk about where we don't come to celebrities to question their intelligence on social issues and whatnot, because I remember during that entire era in 2020 when like Black Lives Matter was like at its peak, a lot of people were trying to figure out a lot of these celebrities' thoughts and opinions on the world, and we ended up finding out that a lot of these celebrities had some very trash takes, Lori Harvey to be example. And then I see a lot of people backing up those claims and those excuses, being like, well, we don't come to them for their intelligence, we come to them for entertainment. But it's just kind of of frustrating because, like I said, it just plays into that entire notion of somebody that looks great isn't necessarily smart. And that is absolutely freaking false. A lot of people that are at my college, when I am looking at graduation, there are so many beautiful women that are walking across that stage and they graduated. Like, college is not easy. What are you guys' thoughts and opinions when it comes to the subject of beauty and intelligence? I genuinely am curious and I would love to know your thoughts. Please comment them down below. And I've been wanting to do like more chit-chatty videos like I used to do back in 2020 because I just am tired of like feeling pressure to be like other YouTubers out here nowadays. I like doing them big ass produced videos like I did with that Rainbow High video and that Kim Possible video, but for the most part, this is just where I feel my most comfortable and my most strongest when it comes to making content. But this was just something that I just had running across my brain. That's all I have to say about it. I have Patreon if you guys want to know ways you can support the channel. Watch the videos with the ads off. That's the best way to support. I also have a shop called HarianaHook.com. If you like 30% off, use code HOTSPOT30. And yeah, all my cosplay stuff is like linked down below. My blog is on my website called Hariana Talks. And yeah, that's just pretty much all I had to say. I just needed to get that off my chest. Thank you guys so much for watching, and y'all have a good day, night, or whatever time of the day you're watching. Goodbye.
Now that you see, you should beware of the power of three. They come to fight as fast as they can. They're dangerous yet fabulous. Because of Eutonia made them eschew. They are the colors of pink, green, and blue. They'll catch you in the blink of an eye and do it all before bedtime. They coming through and fighting, and everyone they're shocking. You know no one can stop them all because of the chemical X. They coming through and coming, and everyone they're shocking. You know no one can stop them all because of the chemical X. The Powerpuff Girls will just blow your mind. Buttercup like villains 3 at a time. Bubbles will smile while kicking your butt, and Blossom will lead them out of their rut. Cherish and Powerpuff, 2 of a kind. Both wanna save the world before bedtime. From Townsville, Memphis, New York to LA, the Powerpuff Girls are just here to stay. They come